Jim Creighton, VP of Global Strategic Services for ARI, uses Europe as an example of what kinds of taxes and regulations regarding greenhouse emissions from vehicles the rest of the world might expect in the coming years.
We had a customer seminar in Barcelona last fall, and that was one of the topics we brought up. These were European decision makers, but we had representatives from all over the world, and green was one of the subjects that we had. And it was very interesting that things are mandated and regulated in Europe, and they're very used to worrying about CO2 emissions and taxes and regulations. And the rest of the world, it's more of an emerging scenario where it's not so much mandated and regulated yet. So we are trying to use the European business model to help educate the rest of the world fleet managers on what could be coming. But at the same time, we also discussed with the European fleet managers that they have one solution of handling things, and it's not the end-all be-all. So there are things that are happening in Asia. There are things where there's big promotion of electric vehicles in the future. In Australia, they're having a big push on downsizing the powertrains of the vehicle. So V8s turning into 6 cylinders, 6 cylinders turning into 4 cylinders. Very similar to what we see here in North America. So green, no matter where it is in the world, is being discussed. But we're also seeing that depending on the part of the world, there may be just downsizing of engines, there may be new technologies, there may be hybrids, but Europe probably has the greatest concentration of taxation and regulation related to the vehicles themselves. Recently read the results of a survey, and they were a forward-looking survey, and one of the comments was made, the auto manufacturers are going to concentrate on making a profit. And I'm saying, well, shouldn't they be making a profit? But then they said, in association with that, incentives are going to be smaller, volume incentives may be smaller. They're going to concentrate on focusing technology more on making more fuel efficient vehicles, because that's going to be a big driving force for everybody. And that's something that I thought that's what we would want the manufacturers to be focusing on. And profitability is very important because we want them to stay in business. We want them to be there for the long run. And then the other thing that with increasing demand now, because there was a recession worldwide, as demand starts to increase, the manufacturers are going to have a slow ramp up because they still have to have maximum output at their production facilities. And they are committed to building what they think are the right vehicles for our uses, but then they also may have longer lead times. We may have to source things differently. And then also, I got some feedback that I think is people have to keep in the back of their mind. There may be a shortage of certain key minerals and elements that are incorporated into the vehicles, and if there becomes shortage of supplies of raw materials, that could impact the supply chain. And people have to realize that you're not going to get cars and trucks built in 4 to 6 weeks anymore. You may have to be prepared for 10 to 12 weeks production times, and that has to maybe change our mindset as we manage our fleet, not just here in North America, but everywhere around the world.